Call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item of business is to approve the minutes from last meeting. However, we don't have a quorum of people that were at the last meeting, so I move to continue the approval of those minutes to the next planning and zoning meeting. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Proceed to vote then.
Weiss?
Yeah, on this motion because you're here.
Yes. Waldron?
Yes.
Remy?
Yes, motion carried. We'll have approval at the next meeting. Citizen participation. Anybody out there want to address us? All right, then let's move on to public hearings. Got a resolution for an application for a conditional use permit. Nancy, do you highlight us on that, please?
I will. It's not coming up, but I guess we can just talk through this. So the applicants here, who are SN Warehouse LLC and plugged in, are requesting approval of a conditional use permit. They will be establishing or renovating an existing warehouse at 459 West North Street. The adjacent property to the east is currently vacant, and with that, they would be constructing additional storage units on that property. The property is in zoned commercial highway, and storage units and self-storage are conditional uses in the C commercial highway zone. So the existing building would be renovated into climate-controlled indoor storage, small office, meeting room, kitchen for the employees, and then the second structure is basically covered outdoor storage for large RVs, boats, etc. As far as the issues, the proposal meets all dimensional requirements of the code, although they just walked under with the landscaping at 10.3%, as opposed with the requirement being 10%. The conditions that, or the issues that we look at are basically, is the use compatible with existing adjacent uses? Have they incorporated design features sufficient to protect adjacent uses? Are all proposed accessory uses, there aren't any, so we won't speak to that one. Are adequate public services available? Will they provide for proper maintenance of the building, parking, etc.? And does the proposed use conform to any adopted plans, codes, etc.? Just going over that somewhat quickly, the use as proposed, storage, does seem to be compatible with the surrounding area, which is a mix of retail, gas, and other business uses. All surrounding uses are zoned commercial and are commercial in nature. The proposal itself appears to meet all design requirements. Public services are available as far as parking, gas, electric, sewer, police, and fire. And I think that's it. As far as there are no specific hours of operation or other policies for a storage use. Interestingly enough, there is no code requirement for storage units. So they are proposing 4 parking spaces for their employees or for people that were coming in and doing business to rent a property or check on their property. As far as, I did include in the discussion that the existing structure has been there for quite some time. It was constructed in 1990, but it's never been fully completed, and it does appear to be in need of major renovation and improvement prior to occupancy, which is proposed by the applicants. As far as our agency comments, there's basically no concern raised, although the GIS coordinator did make note that there's a fiber optic line that is on the applicant's property, and it's pretty close, within 10 feet from the west side of the existing warehouse building, so they should be cautious with that, obviously. The city engineer had some concerns specifically related to drainage. Other than that, unless there's any questions, staff is recommending approval of the requested conditional use permit and site plan with basically our standard comments or conditions of approval, that they meet all requirements of all city departments, utilities providers, that they provide the appropriate signed and stamped construction drawings prior to building permits. Also, we added a drainage report meeting CDPHE requirements be submitted and approved by the city engineer. And also, since there's 2 lots and they're proposing to use them together, that they submit a lot consolidation and consolidate the lots prior to building permit issuance. Are there any questions?
Anybody have any questions? I have one. I noticed that there needs to be a sewer tap purchased for the location. At least that's what sanitation says. Well, I guess my question is there a water tap already?
Well, they
there?
would have to purchase the water tap. Also, if they don't have it, it's just that the water department didn't comment.
Okay. Any other questions for, okay, well, we'll open it up for public comment. Anybody to speak for or against, please.
Do you want to allow the applicant to give a talk before public comment?
Oh, sure. Got to go to use the microphone so we can get it recorded, please. I was just going to include that in public comments, but, okay, Rachel. Push it's right in front, should turn green.
It is green.
There
Does
we
that
go.
work?
Yes, thank you.
I don't think I have too much to add. We are working with a civil engineer in Durango for the drainage requirements, and it sounds like per the city civil engineer, he'd like us to try to do more of that on site rather than off site, like pushing it out into the street. And so after I received his comments here from Nancy last week, we spoke again and started to adjust the plans. It should be fairly simple due just to that it's not a very big lot to be able to capture all that runoff and push it into that 10% landscape requirement areas and make some little like shallow retention ponds basically in the landscaped areas to keep most of it on site. So that was really the only comment, and that's how we were planning to address it.
Any questions?
And then this, if you have more comments for me, we started speaking before, but if you have comments while I'm up here and you want them on the record, or questions, I'm sorry, I can stay up here. I don't know what the protocol is, but however that works.
We'll hear from you, and then I'll open it up for public hearing, and then she could speak if she wants to.
Okay.
So seeing no further questions from you, thank you. I'll open it up for public hearing. Anybody to speak for or against? Okay, go to the microphone. Go to the microphone then, please. And you can probably sit down, sir.
Okay. Do you want me to answer them on the, if they're for me, on the record? Does it matter?
They're actually for him, so.
Sure, why don't you then stay up there and go ahead and state your name too, I guess, first, and then ask your question, and then we'll have him answer it.
Okay, so my name's Charlene Odell, and I have the business called So by So, which is to the east of this lot and the building that he has, which was formerly Southwest Designs, if that'll help you. Next door to Audio Box, and across the street is the Station Boutique. So that's my business location, is the brown Pro Panel building. And I've been there since 2017. So my question is, how big of an area of this covered proposed that you're going to do on the vacant lot currently? How big is this area going to be that you're going to build for covered, to cover boats and RVs and that kind of stuff?
So this is the plan of it. It's basically about 50 by 120. And then there's a small section to the south they might do as well. We are under the lot coverage requirements, and we have, you can see the setbacks there for utilities. There's the easement, so there's the surveyed property line. That's probably your building there.
Right.
I think that's the other
Mr.
guy.
Chair, if I could,
So,
correct protocol would be for the members of the public to address their questions to the chair, and then after their questions are finished being presented, the chair can ask the applicant to come back up and
Okay.
respond so that it's clear that it's
I agree.
all on the record.
So applicant, go ahead and
well, if this
sit
is
back,
helpful, that's-
applicant, go ahead and sit back down, please. So, your question, ma'am, then is how close to the property line? Or what?
Now, I want to know what the size of the proposed covered unit that they're going to house boats and RVs. How big is it? And yes, my property line's still another 10 feet from my building, so I want to make sure that I still have my 10 feet.
Oh, yeah.
The next question that I have, because I have several, is you're building the warehouse that he currently has to the west, to the east of it. What are you going to do with that piece of raw land that houses between it and the plumbing store?
Isn't
And
the
you
plumbing,
talk about,
is
are
the
you
plumbing
gonna-
store on the west side?
On the west side, yes.
Yeah, you said east, so I was, okay.
Right. So are they going to landscape that? Because it was full of weeds all summer long. Nothing was ever done. And then all of a sudden now when they want to do this, they clean it up, which is fine. And then, so the access is going to be off of North Street from the best that I can tell, in and out, in and out. Well, let me explain something here. And I've been fighting DOT over this intersection because we have 5 entrances, and how much more traffic can we contribute to have a fatality where we're going to kill a bunch of school students that's riding on a bus that comes off of North Broadway, and they're barreling down Pinion, and the person coming from the east side of North Street comes up there and they don't see them and they pull out, and wham, bam, here we are. Boat goes flying, whatever, I don't know, but I've been fighting DOT for 3 years, and now we're going to add more traffic into this.
And
Not
what,
against,
and what has your fight with the DOT been?
pardon?
What has you said you've been fighting with DOT, what has the fight been over?
To do something with that intersection.
Which one, the one in the east or the west?
There on Pinion Drive, where it comes there, yeah, right there.
Oh.
Exactly. Because the people to the north there of my building, the Russells that own a home or two that's in there, have a hedge that they can't ever keep trimmed. I constantly have to call your maintenance people down here to have them trim the hedge, so at least to help keep where people can see. But this is a major intersection. There was an accident in July. Last year, we had 4 accidents in the fall there. I even sent videos to our chief, Police Officer Knuckles, over this. But I'm not against having a storage building. What I'm against is all the traffic that's going to contribute to this. So that's
Okay.
something, I mean, we need to, I'm trying
Well,
to be proactive.
you mentioned about all the kids that would be there. Is there a school bus pickup there or something that kids
The
gather?
school bus comes off of North Broadway because the junior high is there at.
But there's not a school pickup there? Kids don't gather at a bus stop?
No, there's
Oh,
not a
okay,
school
okay.
pickup.
So the kids you're talking about are in the school bus?
They're in the
Oh,
school
okay.
bus.
All right, thank you.
And if
Next-
there's an accident, the school bus hits something, an RV or a car or whatever,
Yeah.
there could be some bad things that happen. I'm trying to be proactive about this. I lost my father due to a drunk driver. I don't want to see a mother have to see that she lost her daughter or a son because nobody wants to be proactive over this intersection. And we're going to contribute more vehicles in it. So I don't know, we need to figure out something.
Okay, next question?
That's it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So the questions I have, and see if I can summarize, one was the size of the proposed covered unit on the east side, and then landscape to the west and a traffic flow. I'm sorry, applicant, I didn't get your name when you were up there, but would you care to step up to the microphone and discuss those three items? I'm not sure you can say much about traffic flow other than, yeah, there'll be extra traffic, but who knows how much?
Yeah, so my name is Matthew Clark with Clark and Chapin Architects. So the first two questions, I think the lot was surveyed, and they surveyed the corners, the back corners of your building. They found the pins and tied it into, I guess, the Cortez grid. Like, so there's a bunch of survey markers that were to the northeast of there that they tied to. And so we're meeting, we know that your building is to the east of the property line, as you pointed out. And then the building is set back actually 15 feet from the property line due to utility easements that are also there, running north-south. So the building is about 25 feet roughly from the back of your building. And it is about 50 by 120 roughly is what they're proposing right now. We haven't, after this process is complete, we'll be then going to do the building permit portion. So the size might change a little bit depending on costs and what we design there. But right now it's probably going to be somewhere around 50 by 120. On the west side, you mentioned weeds, and there is a utility easement there also for that fiber optic line, which is 15 feet. There's also, that area is some of the proposed landscape areas. So there'll be a lot of xeriscaping. Towards the front, there'll be more plantings. Around the sides, there'll be more kind of rocks and cactus, yucca, kind of more desert stuff that doesn't take as much water. But it will all be, maintained and landscaped and weed controlled. And then as far as the traffic, yeah, the entrance is more or less where the curb cut is on the north side into West North Street. I think the traffic will be super low. A lot of times it's people who, are long-term storage of kind of classic cars in the climate-controlled building is what they're targeting, or other kind of, something that basically needs to be climate-controlled because of value and not have rodents or any kind of sun on it, that kind of thing. And then the RV and boat portion, I think a lot of they're targeting like seasonal users, people who might come in RVs or leave their boats here seasonally. So I don't see that. I mean, I'm sure there's obviously going to be some more traffic, but it's not going to be like a bunch of small storage units that people might come and go to a lot of time to get things in and out of. It's not going to be that kind of storage. So pretty low traffic.
On the west side, Nancy, go back to that one picture that had the red lines and the buildings on it. Yeah, that one.
That parcel's owned by somebody else, so there's a weird little lot in there
That's what I was
that's
wondering.
not owned. Then that's probably where a lot of the weeds are, I would guess.
Because you're not really building or doing anything going west, are you? You're kind of at the,
It will be landscaped. I mean,
Yeah.
it'll be gravelled and there'll be weed barrier and some landscaping up towards the street side. Yeah, but then from there over there's kind of that lot that, I don't know who owns it, if it's the plumbing store or not, but there is an empty spot there.
yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I envisioned, that was empty.
To the west. Yeah.
Any other questions for Matthew? Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And I appreciate your comments. Thank you. And that is a weird intersection. So,
Anybody else speak for or against? We'll close the public hearing. And entertain any motion or discussion.
I make a motion that the Planning and Zoning Commission approves P&Z Resolution Number 17, Series 2023, a resolution recommending that the City Council approves the conditional use permit and site development plan for a storage facility on property located at 459 West North Street, Cortez, Colorado, in the Commercial Highway Zone as submitted by SN Warehouse LLC with the staff's recommended conditions as stated in the resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just have a comment.
Okay.
For our public commenter, I just want you to know that one of the conditions that was referenced in the motion is to make sure that they're in compliance with CDOT. And so I know that doesn't necessarily make you happy because you've been arguing with CDOT, but the city is aware and will do the best they can to make that in. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Let's proceed to vote then.
Weiss,
Yes.
Waldron,
Yes.
Remy.
Yes. Motion passes. Next item is any new business? Unfinished business? Other items of business? Looks like a couple of county things. Nancy, would you highlight those, please?
So we do have an application from Hoke to amend their subdivision. And they're proposing to rezone and subdivide. It is a parcel, I'm gonna bring it up here, that we have commented on before. None of our concerns really were addressed. It's adjacent to, shouldn't talk and travel at the same time, but it's adjacent to city limits, and they're proposing heavy industrial zoning on it. So it's in this area here. The proposed project, which also is the next parcel, is asking for heavy industrial zoning up in this area here. So anyway, we expressed concerns that probably they shouldn't be subdividing and developing adjacent to city limits like this, but it was obviously completed anyway, and they're simply amending that. So it is, County Road L is in our master street plan. It's designated as an arterial in the road master plan. I don't know what else to say. We sent a letter last time. We provided it for your information. We felt like it was pretty strong about our concerns. The project was still zoned and subdivided, and they're simply amending it this time.
Do you know when it goes in front of county planning?
Yes, October 19th. You know, it said in their application it would go in front of the Board of County Commissioners on the 19th, but the next request said it would go in front of the Planning Commission on the 19th. So I'm thinking that was probably an error.
Do they also notify like the residents like the city does when this kind of thing? So they have the opportunity to speak?
When I was reading the letter that was sent previously, I think one of the things that was said was the city thinks that annexation would be a better option. Is that something that is in a master plan of some kind, or that's just something that was kind of like discussed?
Well, we requested it. Many communities have agreements in place that when a property is adjacent to city limits, you would annex first before you developed. We do not have that in place with Montezuma County. So there's really, we can ask, but it's a pretty please.
So in light of the fact that it seems like we asked last time and the county was like, thanks for your interest, is that something that maybe is worth pursuing some kind of MOU with them in the future, that they will seriously consider that request?
Well, yes. It would also be fairly controversial. And just since I know, this is adjacent to Carpenter Preserve, and they're designating it in the county heavy industrial.
Do you know what they plan to do on it?
The next request, I think it's on there, but the next request is for storage units, so that's not really so terrible, which is the Raptor.
Yeah, Raptor's already there.
Oh, no, it says here, I'm sorry, heavy industrial in order for construction equipment and materials storage yard.
So it looks like the industrial would be on the northwest side of the property.
Not immediately
Right,
adjacent.
not adjacent to the housing in the city.
Yeah. Which is another thing we asked, so I guess that maybe got listened to.
Well, I know there's a lot of truck traffic already on Road L, and unfortunately, it's not a very wide county road. When Brandon's Gate went in, they were supposed to put in a turning lane, and all I did was make a broad shoulder back in the day. Okay, thank you. Next update. That's Raptor.
Keep going, so the next one is also a county proposal, also on County Road L, which is still designated an arterial, and it is for storage units, Raptor storage. Apparently, it's an addition to the existing storage units.
Yeah, we did their ribbon cutting with the chamber, and it's a really nice, clean operation. Again, like the gentleman was here before, it's not constant traffic like it would be with little tiny self-storages.
Storage in general generates the least amount of traffic of any constructed use.
So they're just wanting to put more storage units there?
Yes.
Wow, they're full?
Big buildings. Oh, yeah, the
Yeah, wow.
crates or receipt crates.
Yeah, they look like, yeah, that you'd get off a cargo ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then I'd like to ask, how about an update on the process for the land use code? We've got a separate entity.
Sure, I can give you an update real quick. 1 second. Okay, yeah, thank you for asking. As you may recall, Logan Simpson completed a land use code assessment report after doing a lot of public outreach and one-on-one sessions with the community and with P&Z and with council and staff and other concerned residents. So that has been finalized and posted online. We also convened a land use code advisory committee, which consists of a planning and zoning member, Katrina Weiss, thank you. Also a city council member, some community, some residents, and then some staff to discuss the various sections of the land use code. Currently, we're working on Module 1, let's see, which is residential zone districts and commercial zone districts. So it's covering chapters 1 and 3 of the land use code and also general provisions and use standards. So we've been talking with them about that. They've been running some ideas past us. And then we are going to be doing some public outreach the end of October, October 26th and 27th. We haven't put out information about that yet, but we're getting it together. We're going to do kind of a hybrid presentation and open house for folks to go to. We're hoping to do it not just at City Hall, but maybe downtown if we can secure a venue so that it's accessible to people. We're going to do one over the lunch hour and then one in the evening. Just to get some feedback and to let people know what we're working on currently. And then we're just going to continue on with the next module. And Logan and Simpson, I'm sure will likely have an update for you guys as well. But yeah, so we are working on it. A lot of it is right now, just a lot of going through, by chapter, use by use, and seeing what still fits and what doesn't and what needs to be fixed. And then we'll come out to the community and to you guys with recommendations.
Okay, thank you. I'll be out of town the 26th and 27th, so I won't be able to attend anything that week, but I was on the one committee, and I know there was a number of people that didn't quite make it, but I was curious, has Superintendent Burris made it to any of these meetings?
I'm not sure. We have had him, he's been invited, especially to our housing policy discussions. He was on one of our committees for a while because, the school definitely is impacted by the lack of housing, like a lot of our employers. And so, we've definitely had some school involvement.
I think that was the committee I was on, and I didn't ever see him at any of the meetings, but I was just curious if he showed up at anything.
With land use code, I'm not certain, yeah.
I think it was the housing that I was on. Because, it does affect trying to attract quality staff and teachers here. Thank you. Any questions for her? Guess I would entertain a motion to adjourn then.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Proceed to vote.
Weiss,
Yes.
Waldron,
Yes.
Remy.
Yes. Meeting adjourned.